What does the IRS audit process really look like? How do exams get started? How do they expand? And how do they end? Understanding how the IRS chooses who they're going to audit, what they review, and how they go about closing your case can really help you understand what's ahead of you. If you've received an IRS audit letter, you're already inside a system that rarely ends where it starts. IRS audits expand, they shift, and they uncover issues most taxpayers didn't even know were on the table. And here's where the reality where most people never hear. An audit is not a conversation. It's a legal examination designed to determine whether your tax return is accurate, complete, and most of all, free from signs of fraud. Before you respond, you need to understand the audit process from the IRS's point of view. Hi, I'm David W. Klasing, a duly licensed tax attorney and CPA, and for over 25 years, I've represented thousands of clients nationally and internationally in every step of the IRS audit process, from first contact letters to appeals and settlements. And I can tell you this, hundreds of cases I've been involved with that may have crossed the line into criminal tax territory did not go criminal because we were engaged. Knowing how the IRS examines tax returns is the key to protecting your rights and preventing small issues from becoming major tax liabilities, and most of all, mitigating potential criminal tax exposure. IRS audits don't begin randomly. They may start with a triggering event, such as mismatched W-2s, 1099s, or K-1s, unusually high deductions, patterns that are inconsistent with prior year's returns, any activity detected by IRS analytics, missing or late filed returns, referrals from state tax and regulatory agencies. Once selected for audit, the IRS assigns your return to an examiner. They review the file before ever contacting you. The first letter identifies the issues initially being examined and asks you for specific documentation. But let's be clear, just because an audit starts with 2 or 3 issues doesn't mean it'll stay that way. Once they hit pay dirt, they're going to start digging. There are 3 general types of IRS audits, and understanding the difference is crucial. Correspondence audits. These are handled entirely by mail. They're usually limited to 1 or 2 issues, but can expand quickly if your response raises new issues. An office audit. You have to sit down at an IRS office, and these exams cover multiple schedules, itemized deductions, business expenses, rental activities, and can focus on potential criminal tax issues that are underlying your return. Field audits. These are by far the most serious and comprehensive. The IRS visits your home or your business, they review bank records, and they look at your operations directly. Field audits can expand into multiple tax years and often uncover issues the taxpayer did not expect would lead to criminal tax exposure. The IRS starts by asking for documents tied directly to your returns, such as bank statements, brokerage statements, receipts and invoices, mileage logs, business ledgers, loan documents, purchase and sale agreements. The IRS is going to compare your documents to what your returns actually say. Any inconsistency, even small, gives them legal grounds to expand the audit. Incomplete records and vague explanations are the fastest way for an audit to spiral out of control. IRS examiners are trained to look for patterns. If they find unrecorded cash deposits, sales that do not equal at least the sum of the 1099s from third parties, large expenses without receipts or personal expenses that should not have been deducted, business losses or income reported that is inconsistent with your demonstrated lifestyle, round number deductions, round number income, home office claims with weak underlying documentation. If they find these things, the audit expands. They can open additional schedules, request records for related entities, or expand into prior or subsequent tax years if they believe similar issues exist. If the examiner suspects willfulness in your noncompliance, the case can be referred to the IRS Criminal Investigation Division, often without even telling you or your representative. IRS interviews are not casual conversations. Examiners use your statements to test consistency and credibility, and they're looking to see whether your explanations match the underlying documentation. Occasionally saying, "I don't remember," is fine. But guessing or BSing is flat out dangerous. Never volunteer information the IRS didn't request, and never speculate. Everything you say becomes part of the record if your case goes on to appeals, tax court, or is passed on to CI to look for fraud. After an audit, the IRS is going to issue a 30-day letter. At that point, you can either agree with their findings or file a protest to go sit down with appeals. If you do nothing, they're going to issue a notice of deficiency, which gives you 90 days to respond. If you don't file a tax court petition within 90 days, you lose your right to go to tax court. Tax court, your last chance to challenge the assessment before it becomes final, and the IRS immediately files a lien and begins collection action after that 90 days. Interest starts accruing daily from the original due date of the return, so delays here cost money, even if you ultimately win. The best defense to an audit is organized evidence presented in a way that matches the structure of your return. If we're involved, we're in the habit of providing examiner-grade schedules that we build, bank deposit analysis, general ledger reconciliations, source documents tied to each line item on the return, and legal arguments that support any disputed issues that show why the law's on our side, not the government's. Our goal is to cut off any expansion of the audit, control the narrative, and by all means, keep the audit civil, never letting it turn criminal. You should consider getting representation if any of the following are true. Your documents are incomplete. The IRS has requested bank statements. The audit expands beyond the original issues on the letter. The IRS hints at fraud or willfulness. You own a business or you have rental properties. You're dealing with unreported income, or you disagree with the examiner's findings. A tax preparer cannot protect your statements. Only a tax attorney can provide attorney-client privilege. If you receive an IRS audit notice, don't face it alone, and whatever you do, don't wait to respond. The audit process becomes harder to control with every passing day and a frustrated auditor. Call the tax law offices of David W. Klasing at 800-681-1295 or visit KlasingAssociates.com to schedule a confidential, reduced-rate initial consultation today. We'll protect your rights, we'll stabilize your audit, and we'll guide you safely through the entire process. To date, no client we've ever represented in an IRS audit has been criminally prosecuted for tax fraud.